everybody, it's Kathy Champion and you're back in my craft room here at Random Acts of Crafting. Before I get started with our project for today, I want to explain to you that I did a little housekeeping on my website. If you go to Random Acts of Crafting, and I brought it up here on my phone and I hope you can see that, if you Google, put in randomactsofcrafting.com, it'll bring you up to this, and if you click on that, it will take you to my store. And I have put in a link at the very beginning of my store so that if you want to shop at my Stampin' Up store, you can do so. Now, if you're not interested in that and you just want to shop at Random Acts of Crafting, then you just scroll up and I have all of my cardstock. All of my products are listed there now, starting with my cardstock. First it's the pattern paper, then my solids, and then it says view all, and if you hit view all, it's going to show you everything in the store. So it's going to go back and show you those same packs of paper again, and then my solids, and then you're going to have, now this is on your phone or tablet. If you're on a laptop, it's going to be a little bit different, or desktop. But anyway, you will just scroll the same way and you will see all of my products. And after the cardstock is all of my dies. And then you will see my Nouveau drops. And then you'll see Squeaky Clean, embossing powder, embossing ink, regular inks, embossing folders. And then you'll go into some We Are Memory Keepers products, some more Nouveau products, more of the We Are Memory Keepers, my Nouveau pens, pen storage holder, some masking fluid and crystal glaze. And then we come down, and anywhere, if I have embellishments or anything, they'll be listed about here. There is the We Are Memory Keepers scoreboard, and you come over to this last page, and this is more or less the miscellaneous. There's some stamp sets, and another embossing folder, and that's the end of that. Now, if you want to shop by category, you can still come up and hit that little menu button, or if you're on your laptop or desktop, right across the top, you will see these buttons. But like if you want to go to Brutus Monroe and you just want to see what I have in there for Brutus Monroe, then all of those products will be under that tab. So what I did this to try to make it simple and easy, but also I wanted my Stamping Up, because I noticed that some of you were going to Random Acts of Crafting and you were searching for the paper trimmer and bone folders and things like that, and I wanted to make this simple for everyone. So if you wanted to shop Stampin' Up, when you come to my home page, all you have to do is where it says click here, and if you click there, it will automatically take you to my Stampin' Up webpage. And from there, you can go down. If you want to shop, just hit shop now, and it will bring you up. And if you're looking for a specific item that I used in one of my videos, type that number, because I've been putting the numbers. So put the number right there and do a lookup, and it will automatically take you to that product. So I'm trying to make this much easier on you, and if you are looking for something and you can't find it, shoot me an email at kathy@randomactsofcrafting.com, and I will try to clear that up. So I wanted to get that out of the way right off the bat, and just kind of let you know that I had done some housekeeping on there, and to try to make it a little easier and simpler for everyone. So okay, without any further ado, this is what we're going to be making today. I thought this turned out beautiful, and I want to tell you where I got my inspiration from. I watched Maymay do this technique where she masks off the middle of a card with an oval, and she ink blend all the way around it, and I thought it was stunning. So I decided that I was going to try that technique, and I did, and I left it sit overnight, and this morning I got up and I thought, I want to try this stamp set from Stampin' Up called Timeless Tulips. This is a textured stamp, and as you can see, I used 3 different shades of pinks and reds to stamp that. This is all stamped. No blending, no coloring, just using a stamp pad, an ink pad, and an acrylic block. And look at that. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? I love it. I think it turned out really, really pretty. And I used a couple of sentiments from that same stamp set. So we're going to work on, the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to mask off and how to do your ink blending, and then we will proceed from there with our stamping our tulips. So let's get started. Now if you do not have masking paper, I am going to use masking paper, but if you don't have masking paper, if you have some two-sided tape, and this is what masking paper looks like, and this is where I cut that one from, and this is a Brutus Monroe, and I do have, I believe I have some, no, I have the masking liquid, and that's not going to work quite the same. I'll see about getting some masking paper in, but you can also check over at May and see if she has it. I'm going to pull out my oval dies, and I'm going to use that same oval because we're going to replicate that same card. Let me pull the dies out, and this is the die that I used. I want to make sure that was the right size one, and it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that down on this masking paper, and we're just going to cut that out using our die cut machine. So I'm going to take this over to the die cut machine and cut it, and we'll be right back. Alright, we're back, and here is what we have. We have this die cut that I cut out from right here using, and these dies are Sizzix dotted ovals is what these are. I've been trying to make sure that I put the brand and what they're called on the back of my dies so that I can let you know what dies I'm using. Of course, I do have some of my older dies that I don't have that listed on, and for that I am sorry. But anyway, that's the dies that I use for this. Now, if you notice, we have this piece of, this piece is cut out, and if you look, this peels off of the back. Just like that, and it's sticky. And what's good about this, it's re-stickable, so you can stick it down to cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut this down for the matte size for an A2 size card. So we know that a matte for an A2 size card is going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 or 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece down. Looks like I got something black on that cardstock. Okay, let's just go ahead and cut that at 4. And at 5 1/4. And that's just taking a 1/4 inch off all the way around, because what I did is I just cut an 8 1/2 by 11 in half and in half again, so it gave me 4 pieces. And I do that real often to have card bases or mats already made up. So anyway, I'm going to grab some colors, and I think I'm going to grab a Candied Apple. I'm trying to replicate and remember the colors I used for that one. We're going to use a carved pumpkin. We're going to use a worn lipstick, and these are all distressed oxides. We're going to use a squeezed lemonade, and the blues, I think I used a Tumbled Glass, and I'm trying to think, did I use a green? I did use a green. I think I used the Evergreen Bough, which is really almost like a teal. So we're going to start off with these, and I think I did use Salty Ocean. Okay, that's a lot of ink, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my worn lipstick. I'm thinking, I also used a shaded lilac. I think I'm pulling out all of my inks on this one. The shaded lilac, and maybe not the carved pumpkin, but maybe this one, the spiced marmalade. You know, I'm not sure which one I used. I tell you what, we're going to go with the carved pumpkin. If it's a little bit different, it'll just be a little bit different. Now what I'm going to do is grab my blending brush. Now y'all seen me use these before. You know that I love them. I'm just going to make sure that I have no color on there. And I'm going to grab one of my microfiber cloths right here. And I'm going to spray a little squeaky clean on it, just like this. And that way I can clean up my brush in between and wipe it over here. So I'm going to start off with the shaded lilac. I think that's the color I want to start off with. And we're going to start right here in this corner. I'm going to move this off to the side just a little bit. And I'm going to put these inks up here where I will not get my hand in them. So I'm going to tap, 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 load up a little color, and I always tap it on my glass mat because I like to swirl in onto my corner, just like that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put this down. No big deal. We still got it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the backer off of this, and it's sticky on the side where you peel it off. And I am going to try my best to even this up in the middle, just about like this. And when you put that down, you really want to press it really, really hard, because what you don't want to do, you don't want any edges of this to pick up while you're doing your blending, because you don't want any color to go in under the edge of that. So I just really go around it with my finger and make sure I don't have any bubbles in it, and that looks really good. So alright, let's go ahead and grab this ink a little bit more off of here, and I'm just going to smooth it on all the way up onto that piece. You want to make sure you're getting it up, you know, up onto that. So I'm going to grab some more of that ink, and I try not to tap any more than what I think I'm going to need, because I don't like to waste my ink. But I'm just going to do nice little circular motions, just like that. And now I'm going to clean this off. Just tap it in that squeaky clean, and then I'm going to rub it over here. And it looks like I got a good portion of that ink off. So again, I'm going to use this piece here to make sure that I don't have any lilac. It's always good to have a little scratch piece that you can rub it on, just to make sure you're not picking up. You don't want to cross-contaminate your colors, for one thing, and you don't want to mess up your blending. So I'm going to grab a wet wipe, just to keep my work surface clean, and I'm just going to wipe up this little bit of excess ink that was left there. And I'm going to put my top back on my shaded lilac, and I'm going to go in and grab my worn lipstick. So this is a very beautiful shade of pink, and I think it's going to complement right there beside that purple or that shaded lilac. I think it's going to be really pretty. So I'm going to tap, 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 and then I'm going to come in just like this. I want some nice depth of color, but I don't want it to be too much, because I do want this piece to look subtle and yet, you know, very pretty as well. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is I'm going to grab some squeezed lemonade. Oops, let me clean off my surface. And I did put a little bit more of the worn lipstick down than I should have, but that's okay. I have a tendency to do that when I'm ink blending. So now get a little bit of this, and I'm going to come in right about here with this color, because I really want these colors to overlap. If you see where the pink and blue overlap, I mean the lavender and the pink, and you have that blue hint right there. So that's what we're going to do here. We want that overlay of the pink and the yellow that gives you kind of an orangey look. And the one thing about the oxides, they do get a little bit wet. They are a wetter ink. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that and just go in. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. Alright, then I'm going to go to my orange, the carved pumpkin. I think that's going to be really pretty next to this squeezed lemonade. And if you notice, I'm moving my inks to the stack back here as I use them, so that I'll know that I've already done that color and we don't have to go there again. Okay, I'm going to clean that off one more time. A lot of cleaning in between, but I think for the effect that we're going to get on this piece, it's going to be so worth it. So again, just making sure I got all that ink off. Rub it off over here. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, now I'm going to tap the orange. And the orange is pretty vibrant, so I don't think we're going to need a whole lot. Yeah, see how vibrant that is? And I'm going to come in right here, and I don't want to put a whole lot, I just want a little bit. A little bit of that orange, and we'll go back and probably put a little bit more of that yellow right there in the corner. I might even grab a mustard seed, something that's a little bit maybe Fossilized Amber, something that's a little bit more yellow. Yeah, we might need to do that on that corner. And that's the good thing about ink blending. You know, if you don't get the exact color that you want, you can very easily just go back and grab some more color and blend over top. So that's the good thing with ink blending. It's very forgiving. So get that off of there and clean this up. We're going to have a tie-dyed wipe when we finish. Look at this. It looks like tie-dye. Oh, I'm really telling my age when I'm talking about tie-dye, aren't I? Okay, so I'm going to lay that one over there. I'm going to come back with this Fossilized Amber, and I think I'm going to put a little bit of that right in here. Yeah, that brightened up that corner a lot better and more like what I had in mind. So let's clean that off really good. And now we're gonna, let's see, I'm gonna bring in a red. I really want to do a red next. So let's put the Fossilized Amber up. Like I said, I'm just stacking these on top of each other. One of them's not wanting to sit right. What is with that? Okay. Now I got the Candied Apple, or do I want to use Abandoned Coral? I'm going to go with the Candied Apple. I love these rich colors. They're so pretty. Okay, so this time I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to come in, swirling that color in and coming down. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love that. So pretty. I absolutely love the way these brushes blend your colors. Now I'm going to come in right here, and I think I'm going to do that evergreen because I want it to graduate down now to the green and then into the blues. I think this is really going to give it a beautiful look that we're looking for. Alright, so let's grab some green and let's come in right here. Oh, I love that. Is that not beautiful? And I love the graduation of the ink, the way it's going on. That beautiful ombre effect. We're going to go in now with the Tumbled Glass. Or do I want to do the Salty Ocean? Maybe the Salty Ocean. We're going to start off with the darker blue. And let me clean this off. Y'all know I'm going to have ink all over me. Okay. This is so much fun. I just really enjoy sometimes just sitting and doing stuff like this. And I was so inspired when I saw May do hers that I was like, I have got to try that. So, but I have to give her the kudos because I saw this on her channel, and I believe it was day before yesterday. So I said, I gotta try that. And I've done ink blending before, and y'all see me do ink blending right here on my channel. So I'm not new to it, but I was new to masking off the center, which I thought was ingenious. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. And clean it up. Make sure I got all that off. And let's see if we can get a little bit more life out of this wipe. I think this wipe has probably seen its better days. What do y'all think? Alright, let's cover up Salty Ocean. And then we're going to grab our Tumbled Glass. And you can see it was important to use a scrap piece of paper because this is the residue ink that was on there. So it was well worth the piece of paper to have this to be clean when you put it into your ink. Now I'm going to pick up a lot more of that. And I'm thinking I want to do a little bit darker purple on this corner. So I'm going to put that one up, and I am going to grab the Wilted Violet. I'm going to tap that in there, and I just want a little bit more of a darker color right there for that purple. And I think the shade of the Lilac was just a little bit too pale to give me that graduate color that I was looking for. Yeah, that's more like it. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Now see, this one, I don't think you'll ever do two that will look exactly the same, because look, they're going to always be different, but they're always going to be pretty. And it depends on the order that you put your colors down, the intensity of your brushing or your blending. So many things go into it. And I have never done two of the ink blendings that looked identical. So let me clean this up, and I'm going to clean everything up and get my inks put up and wipe my hands off, and we'll be right back. Alright folks, we're back and we are ready to reveal this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little Cricut spatula to come right up under the edge of that to lift it, because I really want to get my finger a hold of it so I don't smear the ink. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel, 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 and look at that. Is that not gorgeous? Now you can save this because you could literally use this for another card if you like. I'm just going to sit it over here on my glass mat for now, because remember I told you that stuff is sticky and you can use it over again. So now we have got this part of the card done. Now this will need to dry, so while we are waiting for it to dry, the other thing that we need to do is work on our tulips. Now like I told you, this stamp set is absolutely beautiful, and it's got so many different sentiments on here. You have everything from a happy Easter, happy spring, happy everything. You have a get well soon, just a hello, the happy birthday, happy Mother's Day, and then you've got these sentiments that says, may the memories of yesterday comfort you today, and then what a beautiful difference one single life makes. And I used that one because I thought it went so well with the happy birthday. You have your stems, you have 3 different leaves and 3 different tulips. And I used all 3 of these tulips on here. And I want to tell you what ink I used. Also, this comes in a bundle, and it comes with a punch for your tulip and your leaf. And this is what it looks like. And this is so great to be able to punch out your big tulip. Now, I fussy cut these other two out because it does not come with one for that, but they're not hard to cut at all. And I didn't do the stems separate on these, and I wish I had of. Although I do like the looks of the stem going up into the tulip. So I'm going to kind of decide how I want to do that with this one. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp each one of them separately, so they will be individual, and then we'll go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple of stamp blocks, and I think this one for the large tulip, and maybe this one for the stem, and maybe this one for one of the smaller ones. And let's go ahead and pull these off. Now these are very high quality photopolymer stamps. I have been so impressed with everything Stampin' Up. It has been a joy, an absolute joy. Now I'm going to grab another piece of this cardstock, and I'm going to place my tulips down on here. I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up. Look at those stamp blocks, aren't they? They are just so yummy. I love the way they grab your stamp. They're so comfortable in your hand. They're nice and substantial. You got the concave edge in on all four sides that makes it really easy to hold. Never get my fingers in the ink with these, so I'm very pleased with those. Let's go ahead and grab the straight stem, and I'm going to lay it on my paper and pick it up. And I do need to do a couple of leaves, but I think I'm going to do this one. I think this is the one that the punches out. This one right here. Yep. So we're going to probably do a couple of those. And let's grab one more stamp block, and let's grab that smaller bud. I love these little buds. They're so cute. Okay, we'll go with these first and get them stamped. The first thing I want to do is stamp this off so we can trim it with our punch. And I'm trying to think, I think I'm going to do it down here so I can use the punch right there. So we're going to stamp it right down here at the bottom. And the color of ink that I use, I did use Stampin' Up Ink, and I use the Flirty Flamingo. Let me pull those out. Okay, so this middle one is the Flirty Flamingo. That's the pink. And then this one I did in the Poppy Parade, which is that one. And then the darker one is done in the Real Red. So I wanted some variations of pink to red, and I think I did really good with those colors. At least I thought they turned out gorgeous. So let's go ahead and do our first stamp first, and that's going to be that larger tulip. So I'm going to open up my Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to lay this over here and just kind of get it out of the way so I don't get ink on it. And I'm going to ink this up. Now, the Stampin' Up ink pads are real juicy, so you've got to be very gentle in touching, and you can see that that looks inked. But you also, do you see the, let me put it against this light. Do you see how it looks on the stamp? That's the way it's going to transfer on the paper. It's going to be darker, lighter, and lighter. And I love the way it does that. It's a gradual effect, and when you finish, it looks like you absolutely colored these with Stampin' Blend markers, Nouveau markers, some type of alcohol marker. But we didn't. We literally stamped them with just a stamp and ink. And that is the beauty of this stamp set. So if you're one of those people that just don't like to color because you're not good at it, or just isn't your thing, look at that. It's already shaded and everything for you. Is that not gorgeous? I love that. I think it's so pretty. So that's our Flirty Flamingo. love these inks. They're gorgeous. The colors are so vibrant. And I'm just going to wipe this off here. And I will clean that stamp in a few minutes. I just want to get that off so I can put that other one on this block. What I want to do now is I want to punch this. I want to show you how easy it is to put the stamp in, and using this punch, let's line everything up just like that. And I am shaky tonight. I don't know if y'all know this, but having thyroid issues will cause you to be shaky. I did not know that until I was diagnosed with low thyroid. Inactive thyroid is what I think they call it. So that looks good. I'm going to punch. Okay, and I've got the side of my ink. I've got my finger in my ink. Okay, here we go. Tap, 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 very gently. And I am going to come right here. And I'm going to do this close to the side of the paper so that I'm not punching another tulip. Now I want a couple of these leaves. So I'm going to get another one. And let's try this one right here. Ah, beautiful. Okay, so let's see if we can punch these by, let's trim off just a little bit of this. And just trim that off what we already punched. And then we're going to come in with this right about here. Oh yeah, that lines up really nice. And we're going to punch. And then we're going to come in, just cut this one off. That's one thing you have to do. You kind of have to manipulate the paper when you're using these punches so that you can take advantage of all areas of your stamp and your image. So let's get that lined up about to there. Oops, this doesn't want to go in there. So let's do it like this. Let's cut this off all the way across. And now we've got a handle to hold that, and we can get the perfect placement. So see what I mean about you just have to manipulate it a little bit so you can get it into your punch. There we go. Now we have two leaves, and we have the rose itself. Now I want to do some stems, but I want to do them in a different shade. So I'm going to grab my old olive. And this is a lighter green. Do I want the old olive or the granny apple? I think I want the old olive. And sometimes I get little pieces of white, and that's probably cardstock. Yep, that's what that was. And I just used a little scrap piece of paper like that to rake it off. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to stamp it right here. Because I don't need the whole stem, I just want a portion of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in there like that. And I rocked my block. And then I'm just going to sit this down on here. Let that ink transfer. Ah, I love the way that looks so real. It looks like a real stem. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to clean this off. And then we're going to use the rest of this paper, and I am going to stamp the Poppy Parade. Let's see. No, we need the Poppy Parade would be the next one. It's the smallest one. And look at that. Is that not gorgeous? Y'all know I love red. I think it's so pretty. And this is a gorgeous shade of red. Look at that. So I'm going to stamp that right about there. Press, press, press. Hold, hold, hold. Nice even pressure. Gorgeous. Look. Oh, love it. So pretty. Now these are dye inks, so they do stain your stamps, but no worry. A lot of your dye inks will stain your stamps, so it's nothing to be concerned about. It's just what it does. It doesn't mean your stamps are dirty. It just means that they're well loved. So I'm going to grab this one, and this one we're going to do in the real red. And this is going to be a really rich red. It's pretty much a burgundy, but it's gorgeous. And I'm going to bring this one down right here and press it. Nice even pressure. And there we go. See the difference in the tone? Such pretty, pretty stamps. Alright, I'm going to grab a little squeaky clean. And I've got my dispenser bottle right here. I still have some of these dispensers in my store if you're interested in grabbing one. They're great. You can use the refill bottle to fill these up. Just be mindful that they do not come filled. They are an empty bottle, and you buy your bottle of squeaky clean and fill it. But this is great when you want to do something like this and really get a good amount of squeaky clean to clean your stamp really good. Look at that. And even with it being a dye ink, squeaky clean, I mean, you can still see the residue, but so much better than it was. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And this one. And another thing you can do too is use your little Simply Chamois and clean your stamps after you do this, because that water really does lift the color. So let's go ahead and load this one back on here, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a good rub while I'm here. I have this pet peeve about my stamps not being clean, so it's just one of my little idiosyncrasies, and one of those little things that I just have to do. I have to have my stamps clean. We all have our little things that drive us crazy, and that's just one of the things that drives me crazy, is a dirty stamp. Okay, so we got that much done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fussy cut these flowers, and then we're going to meet back up, and we are going to start to assemble the flowers. I still need a couple more stems. I'll tell you what, let's do another stem right there before we close it out, and before I go grab fussy cutting scissors and what have you. Let's do this one. This one's got a little curvature to it. And I do want to clean this one off too. And I'm going to pick that one up about to there, because I want to just get it like right there. Maybe we can stamp it all the way up and I can cut this one in half. That might work. Okay, this one I'm going to actually do it in that green garden. So we're going to have one that's dark and two that's a little lighter. And you know what I might do? I think I might do one right here. Very pretty. And then this one's going to be a little bit longer. And we can always cut it down. Very nice. Okay. Alright, I am going to clean up my stamps and get those put away. And I'm going to get these fussy cut and we will meet right back up. Hey everybody, I just want to let you know that I am so sorry, but my microphone, I forgot to turn it back on when I paused this last time, so I'm going to voice over here. But as you can see, I got the tulips completely trimmed off and the stems, and of course we punched the leaves out. So now we're ready to go ahead and put these together. Now I did use a little bit of art glitter glue, and I glued the stem on the top of each of the tulips, so it looks like the tulip is coming out from that little green piece, which is beautiful. So anyway, I'm just positioning them here on my my glass mat to decide how I want them to live on this mat. So I know we'll probably have to trim a little bit, but right now I'm just going to pick up the first tulip, and this is our larger one that's going to live in the middle, and I want to position it where I want it to fall on the paper. And then I need to decide how I want the next one to lay. And I think about something about like that, maybe that leaf right there. And then we got the smaller tulip bud, and I want this to live about here. I think that looks really cute. I want it down just a little bit more. I want it to look like it's, you know, the smaller one that's living to the back. And this seems to be the most tedious part of putting this together. It's just trying to get the layout like you want it. Now this leaf right here I think is going to look so good. Just kind of tucked and right behind that larger tulip bud or tulip flower. Yeah, I think I like it like that. So now I need to go ahead and put my pieces together. So I'm going to start off with that one leaf and the larger bud. There's no rhyme or reason to how I'm putting this together. This is just what works for me. So I'm going to use art glitter glue, and I'm just going to put a small amount of glue right there on the edge of that. And then I'm just going to lay that leaf into it and position it about where I want it to come out of the tulip. Something like that. And just hold it for a minute and make sure that it adheres. And that looks good. Now the smaller tulip, I want it to come down just a little bit, something like that. So I'm going to lay this down on my glass mat, and now I'm just going to put a little dot of art glitter glue right there on that stem, just enough that I can bring that other stem across it and it will catch right there. So once I get that adhered in, and I've got my fingers in glue by doing this, and I should have grabbed my silicone mat because I am getting glue on my glass mat. Yep, right there. I knew that I did. So what I'm going to do now is I want to bring up that next tulip. And this one I decided I wanted it to go up a little higher, but yet I want to keep that same, about the same distance. So I'm trying to decide exactly where I want that to come, but I do know that I want this to cross over in the back where it will come right across where the other ones were lying, and you'll have a little bit of stability by putting them together right at that point. So now I need to decide how I want this leaf, and I think I want it to live right there on the front. So let's turn this over, and we're going to crisscross this right there on those stems, right there in that same conjunction point. And that looks really good right there. Just a little dab of glue is all you need, because remember, this is going to go on foam dots, and it's going to be adhered to the back of that, to the front of that mat, and that's going to make it very stable. So pick it up and bring it over and look at this and see if this is about what I wanted. Now, in hindsight, had I done this over, I would probably use Not Your Mama's cardstock for these tulips and the leaves and the stems. And the reason for that, it's a 130-pound weight cardstock, and it does give you a little bit more stability. Now I'm just grabbing my scissors, and I'm going to trim these stems off just a little bit to get them at the length that we want them. And just a little snip here and a snip there, and I can get these right at the length that I need them to be perfectly perfect size for my card. I didn't want these long stems hanging down off of the white oval that we revealed on this ink blending. So I am still trying to get that ink off of my glass mat. So, all right, now that I think I got that all off, we're going to take this tulips and turn them over. We'll call it a bouquet now since we do have them all together. And I am going to put my pen back in my glue. That's always important. And these are the little dots that I'm going to use to pop this up, because I really want it to be the focal point on this mat. So by allowing it to have some dimension and sit up off of the card, it's definitely going to add so much to this. And I'm doing something a little different than I normally do. Normally I will stamp my sentiment on a piece of cardstock and then I'll pop it up on my card. Today I'm doing it the opposite. The focal point, which are the flowers, are going to be popped up, and I'm going to stamp the sentiments down directly onto the mat. So that is a little different from what I normally do. But as you can see, I'm just getting all of those onto the back of that, and that looks really good. I think we have enough of pop dots that's going to hold it in place. So I'm going to lay this over to the side, and we are going to focus on our sentiments on the front. So looking back into the stamp set, I want to decide exactly what sentiment do I want to use on this card. I'm thinking that I want to use the little hello. It has just a wording that says hello, and I thought this would make a really cute, just a little thinking of you, encouragement type card. So hello, and then I think the next sentiment I'm going to use is the same one that I had on the sample card, and that's what a beautiful difference one single life makes, because I think that with the hello combined could make a real cute, encouraging card to send to someone. So that's why I decided to use this particular sentiment. Now we're still going to stamp inside the card, but I wanted it to say something on the outside as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and position these stamps where I want them. I'm going to grab a stamp block, and I'm going to pick each of these up and set them over to the side. I just want to have them ready to stamp. And also with the Stampin' Up stamp blocks, you always have the perfect size stamp block for the size stamp that you're using, which is always an asset when you're doing any type of stamping. So I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, because y'all know that's my very favorite ink to use for sentiments. It's always very crisp. It always stamps good on most any type of surface. So that's the reason I chose the VersaFine. And now I'm going to center this right at the top, up a little bit, and I'm going to stamp that down. And I'm going to let that ink transfer, making sure that I get a good impression. And we are good. Right about there. So that hello stamped really pretty. I'm real pleased with that. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the sentiment for the bottom. I'm going to ink it up in my Onyx Black ink. And once I get it inked to my satisfaction, then I'm going to just bring it down. Now this cardstock is curled just a little bit because Distress Oxide inks are wet, and then it did cause the paper to curl more at the bottom than it did at the top. So I'm using my fingers to hold that down on each side so that I don't get a shadow when I stamp this down. So there we go, and that looks like I got a good stamp on it. Let's press it a little bit, and now bring it up. And that looks really pretty. And if you notice, it looks like it didn't stamp well in the middle, but it did. That's actually that light area that we have right there. So I'm going to take the backers off of these tulips, and then we are going to just position that where we want it and press it down. How pretty is that? I really love the way that looks on that card, and I think that background is just the perfect drop place for these tulips. It really does add to this background. And just for your information, this type of blending background, you could do so much with it depending on the colors that you use. So let this be inspiration to inspire you to try that inking technique or the blending, and then use stamps that you already have and make this a focal point for your cards. Now I'm trying to pick out a card base, and these are some pre-cut card bases that I already had, and I'm trying to decide. Now the first one that I picked up was the Midnight, and it's the Brutus Monroe 100-pound weight navy blue, and like I said, the color is Midnight, and I do have that in my store if you're interested in picking some up. I tried several different colors. The white is nice, and I think I would have used either the white or the navy, but I went with the navy because I think it really made the flowers pop even more, and that's what I was looking for. So I'm going to clear all of this stuff off of my desk, and once I get everything moved out of my way, I'm going to bring out that handy dandy paper trimmer / scoreboard, and we're going to score this this card base. Now this card base is 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4 or 4 1/4. So I'm just going to put this in, and like I've told you so many times, make sure if you're using the scoreboard that you use the lighter gray passage. The dark one is your blade and the light one is your score tool. So we got that scored, and it's just beautiful to watch how easy it is to score a card by just sliding that up. And so many times you can do that when you cut it, and all you have to do is just slide it over. Now I am going to fold this, and I'm going to use my bone folder to crease it because I want this to have a nice sharp crease. For two reasons. It makes the card lay better, and it also makes it much easier for me to put this mat down onto the card base. So now I'm going to get this positioned exactly where I want it, and then I'm going to grab some art glitter glue, and I am going to put glue all over the back of this. Now I don't want to put too much, but I want to be generous enough that it allows the card to sit and stay sealed on the card base. And there we go. Look how pretty that is. I'm making sure that I've got that little border all the way around, and that looks so pretty. I love the way that turns out. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to cut a piece of cardstock that will fit for the inside. So we are just about done with the voiceover, so I am going to go ahead and close this part out because the voice will come back very shortly and we'll be back in business. Thank y'all for being patient with me while I did the voiceover, and thank y'all so much for watching. So here we go. My mic had been off all that time, y'all. Okay, I'll be doing a voiceover on the part prior to right here. So sorry. But anyway, this card is gorgeous. I don't care whether the sound was on or not. The card itself is so pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a piece of white cardstock, and we're going to cut this into 4 by 5 1/4. and I just need one piece, but I'm going to go ahead and cut. Well, you know what, I won't. I'll just cut this. So at 4, oh, almost messed up. I need this at 4, not 4 1/4. Measure twice, cut once. Isn't that the old saying? So true. And then this one is going to be 5 1/4. And this will give us our piece that we need for our inside. And you know, you could very easy stamp some tulips on this for the inside if you like. Maybe a little tulip bud coming out of the corner. I want to look at this other sentiment. We have a get well soon sentiment, which would be great, but and we have a happy Mother's Day, but I'm not making this as a Mother's Day card. Let me grab another stamp set where I can stamp a sentiment in here, and we'll be right back. Now y'all remember I told you I love to combine stamp sets, and you can do that. Never feel like you're limited to just what one stamp set has to offer. So I pulled this one free as a bird, and I am going to use this, Your Friendship Means the World to Me, and I think I'm going to use a couple of these little flowers and maybe this little limb to stamp some little sentiments and a little bit of decorativeness inside. So let's grab so now I'm just going to take the flower and I'm going to stamp one right here in the corner. Very pretty. And I think I'm just going to do another one up in this corner. I'm going to turn it a little bit like that. Oh yeah, that was what I was wanting. I just love to do a little something inside the card. And you know, I mean, we could have made this a note card and left it blank, but I love to put a sentiment inside of my cards. I think that it just really makes the difference of how your cards look. And this one right here, Your Friendship Means the World to Me, we are going to put that right there in the middle. And I'm going to use my Fossilized ink for this. And I'm putting these stamps over on another, is that going to fit? Maybe like that it will fit. Remember that if you got a block, you can always, let me even this up on here, make sure I'm getting it on straight. And I really think I want this one. So I'm going to clean the ink off of this. And having the right block can mean the difference in having your sentiment look the way you want it. Now see, I'm lining that up on the marks, on my grid marks right here, because that way I know that it's nice and straight. Okay, so I'm going to ink this up. Okay, that looks good. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it right here. I want to bring it up a little higher so it leaves me a place to sign. And I'm going to stamp it down. Very, very pretty. Alright, so now I'm going to grab some pink because I want to stay with that same color palette that we have. So I'm going to grab some Nouveau markers, and I think I'm going to go with this lighter pink, and these are just your regular pinks. So I'm going to go with this lighter one, and this is $4.49. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to color all of my petals that light pink. And just put down the color. And because we use the memento, we don't have to worry about this color moving. So that's the good thing, because I could not use the VersaFine. The pigment inks, alcohol will move those. A good dye ink is what you need. Alright, so we got that done. We're going to leave this one out because we're going to come back to blend it out with that. Now I'm going in with my darker pink, and this is $4.51. What did I tell you this one was? $4.49, $4.51. And what I'm going to do, all of these little marks right here, all of those little marks are places that needs to be highlighted. So this, I mean, Stampin' Up makes it so easy for you to blend and get your color where you need it because of the way they put these little lines in there, and it just makes it so simple to do your shading just by following these little lines. Just like that. Now I'm going to go back up to the top one because we needed to let that alcohol evaporate a little bit. And now all we're going to do is we're going to pull that color out. So that just helps us blend it and gives it a little bit more depth, and it also takes away from seeing those two lines of different color. Now it looks like it's one continuous, but it's shaded, and I think that's so pretty. Now this is exactly what I was wanting for the inside of this card. So now I am going to go ahead and adhere this, and I'm just going to use some art glitter glue to put this down with. Circle, circle. And now we've got this where we are ready to adhere it in, making sure that you're coming out that little scant amount around the edges. Oh, how pretty. And this card is complete, and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. I think that all of our elements pop on it. I love the background. Look at that. Is that not a beautiful card? And the dimension that we put down on the flower makes the flower our focal point, which is exactly what we wanted. And then you open it up inside and you got that pop of pink and a nice little sentiment, a place to sign or write a little personal note. And this card is done. And how cute is that? I think it turned out really pretty. So I hope I've inspired you to make something beautiful. If you are interested in picking up any of the products that you saw me use here today, the Stampin' Up products especially, and like I told you earlier in the video, if you go to my regular store, randomactsofcrafting.com, and the link will be below, and I'll also put the link right here. All you have to do is click on, you'll see Stampin' Up and the little logo, and then under it, it will say click here. And if you click there, that will take you immediately to my website. I will also have the numbers for both of these stamp sets. I'll list the numbers to both of them, and as well as the punch. And I'm not sure. I know that the new catalog is ready to be released. So some of these bundles are going to be on like a closeout sale. So I need to go through and check and see exactly what is going to be on sale, and then I can let y'all know. But right now I just wanted to let you know that both of these stamp sets are still available. And again, the tulip one, the bundle comes with this beautiful tulip punch. It punches the leaf and the larger tulip. Great little tool to have in your stash. So I hope you'll go shopping, and I hope that you will find some beautiful things over on my website and in my my Stampin' Up website as well. I have tried to get things organized in there a little better, and I just want everybody to know that I love you dearly. God bless each and every one of you, and until we craft again, let everything you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven, for He is so worthy. Bye-bye.